how high? Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to Albany City Council meeting, Wednesday, October 8th, 2025 at 6 p.m. I will now call the meeting to order. Would you please all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States. Thank you. McKenna, we have a roll call, please.
Yes. Counselor McLeod,
Present.
Counselor Smith,
Here.
Counselor McGee,
Present.
Counselor Newton,
Present.
Counselor Thompson,
Here.
Mayor Johnson,
Here.
and Counselor Van Drimmelen is excused.
Yes, he's excused. Thank you very much for that. Next, item 3 on your agenda is presentations and ceremonies.
Mr. Mayor, can I
I'm
trouble you
sorry.
for
I'm sorry, yes.
I would like to take a moment at the council's indulgence to make some comments here about a person who was very important to us. When I began working for the city of Albany, Jorge Salinas was Albany's deputy city manager and CIO, or IT director. I've known Jorge since then. We quickly became friends, and I came to greatly respect his knowledge and professionalism and his many qualities as a leader and a manager. And as you know, Jorge and his wife, Nancy, died in a tragic vehicle accident in Florida last Saturday night. I'd like to take a minute to remember Jorge. Jorge came to Albany in 2006 from the private sector, having worked for Hewlett-Packard for 11 years, both in his native Puerto Rico and in Corvallis. He was a veteran of the U.S. Air Force and the Puerto Rico Air National Guard, serving for 11 years. Spanish was his native tongue, though he would often note with a wry smile that he spoke way too fast for the Spanish speakers in Oregon. He served as IT director in Albany from 2006 until his departure for Flagler County, Florida in January of 2021. From 2015 till 2021, he also served as deputy city manager. Jorge was a special person. He played a pivotal role in my own professional life, generously helping me to acclimate to this city manager position after competing with me for the job. Not knowing him at the time, I was worried about how he would take the outcome. I quickly learned that my concerns were unfounded. Jorge was as gracious as he was generous. He was genuinely humble and always willing to help anyone who asked, and excited by the successes of others. His contributions were marked by integrity, professionalism, and a genuine commitment to the well-being of others. The loss of such a respected and trusted colleague is immeasurable, and I can only imagine the sorrow felt by his family, friends, and the Flagler County team that he was serving. In 2020, he and Nancy both felt the need to move closer to their families in Puerto Rico. He accepted that position, deputy county administrator in Flagler County, and insisted on keeping that position even when offered the administrator position. Don't get me wrong, Jorge wasn't shy or afraid. He just didn't thirst for the limelight. He liked to work behind the scenes and get things done. He served, and he served very well, with enthusiasm, wit, good humor, and kindness. As I read the comments from Jorge's colleagues over the last couple of days, I was struck by how accurately they depicted the Jorge that we know. The Flagler County Commission Chair, Andy Dance, noted that Jorge had a great personality. He was great with people, worked his tail off, and was great with data and research. Directors, he said, felt that he was a steadying personality. He was very compassionate, but still very firm in things that had to be done. The Flagler County Vice Chair, Leanne Pennington, wrote, Jorge was a hardworking and dedicated colleague, admired for his commitment and kindness. He was loved by all who were fortunate to work alongside him, and his presence will be deeply missed. He was just a genuinely pleasant person, never negative, never in a bad mood. The city manager in Palm Coast, Lauren Johnston, who had apparently frequently worked with Jorge, noted how amazing he was, so smart. He could help you solve any type of problem, very witty. He projected a demeanor of utter calm and gentleness, no matter what the situation could be. Commissioners, other officials, members of the public, or reporters could not rattle him, nor alter his sunny disposition. Joe Saviak, who led the county government's Leadership Academy for several years, said that Jorge was deeply devoted to public service and that he attended our leadership class, engaged with our students to help them be their best. He was a kind, conscientious, and caring individual. I called yesterday and sent an email to Heidi Petito, the Flagler County Administrator, to convey our condolences. Late yesterday, I received an email response. As you can imagine, they are in shock and quite busy dealing with the many details in the aftermath of the tragedy. In her words, Jorge was a dedicated public servant, a trusted colleague, and above all, a compassionate and genuine human being. He became one of my most trusted colleagues and friends. He was invaluable to me and to the organization, always lifting others up, offering a helping hand, and greeting everyone with a warm smile and firm handshake. His quick wit and calm presence could brighten even the toughest days. I couldn't describe Jorge any better. Today I spoke with Matthew and Kaylin, Jorge's and Nancy's son and daughter, two extraordinary individuals in their own right. They're dealing with the myriad details and complexities that surround this tragedy as best they can. They let me know that a celebration of life for family and friends will be held this Sunday, the 12th, at the Palm Coast Community Center in Palm Coast, Florida. A visitation and mass will be held on Thursday, October 16th at noon at Santa Maria del Mar Catholic Church in Flagler Beach. And then the military funeral will be on Friday, October 17th at 10:30 at the Jacksonville National Cemetery in Florida. The local government profession has lost a dedicated and extraordinary, capable leader way too soon. And we have lost a friend. Jorge and Nancy will be deeply missed, and our prayers are with Matthew and Kaylin, with all their family, and with the county staff in Flagler County who are suffering terribly through this loss. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Peter. I'd like a moment of silence for Jorge Salinas and his wife. Thank you. Jorge was somebody I looked up to. When I first got elected to office, he was one of the first people that reached out to me and said, "Let me tell you about the city." We went up in his office in the corner over there, and he was just a gentle, kind man that showed me everything. And I met with the different department heads, but Jorge was the one shepherding me around the building, making sure I knew what I was doing. So I will miss him. Thank you. The next on the agenda tonight, would you like to say anything, Marilyn? Okay. It's presentations and ceremonies. Thank you, Peter. Presentations of the FBI Leader Agency Trilogy Award, Chief Harnden and Michael Robinson Jr., I think it was.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Good evening. I'm honored to be up here today, and I thank the Chief Operating Officer of FBI LEDA for coming from Georgia to present this award. It is a big deal. I'll have him explain the mission behind it, but I want to just do a little bit of introduction here and tell you a little bit about FBI LEDA, and you can add some remarks for you. The FBI, or the mission of FBI LEDA is to advance the science and art of law enforcement leadership and promote the exchange of information to improve law enforcement management practices through training, education, and networking amongst police professionals across the United States and beyond. It was formed in 1991 by a group of graduates from the FBI Law Enforcement Executive Development Seminar, also known as LEADS, who recognized the need for continued networking and ongoing education opportunities for the graduates. This vision formed an association that has become FBI LEDA Incorporated, also known as FBI Law Enforcement Executive Development Association, which is a 501c3 entity. From its beginnings with 68 charter members, FBI's membership has grown to encompass more than 12,000 public safety professionals today, representing agencies throughout the United States, its territories, and numerous foreign countries. The FBI LEDA presents law enforcement agencies whose entire command staff have completed the FBI LEDA Trilogy series with the FBI LEDA Agency Trilogy Award, which is this. At APD, the entire command staff, lieutenants, captains, and myself have completed all 3 courses, Supervisory, Command, and Leadership Institutes. All are week-long classes. In addition, the majority of our sergeants have either completed or are in process of completing this trilogy. We regularly host classes in Albany to bring this training to our neighbors. Leadership in today's world really matters, and we are proud to receive this award.
Awesome, awesome. And before I present the award, I'd just like to say a few things. First of all, congratulations, Chief Hardin, as well as your amazing staff to the City of Albany, Mayor, council members, as well as the city manager. This is no small accomplishment. It's actually a pretty big accomplishment. So I stand before you for really the greetings from our executive board. We have a president of our executive board, that's Mr. Lon Teely, and we have an executive director, Mr. Jacques Batiste. I came to FBI LEDA a couple of years ago after spending about 30 years or so in federal service in and around the country. By way of Georgia, that was my last stop, but now I'm in Malvern, Pennsylvania, near Philadelphia, right outside of Philadelphia. Little on the East Coast, but this is absolutely a beautiful part of the country. Used to come to Oregon quite a bit in my federal days. But nonetheless, FBI LEDA trains many law enforcement professionals across the country. We last year trained about 20,000 law enforcement professionals across the country. We taught in 48 of the 50 states. We are teaching internationally, and it is no small feat to actually achieve the FBI LEDA Trilogy Award. In fact, there's only 3 agencies in the state of Oregon that have done that thus far, Albany being one of them. And this year, we've actually granted about 65 FBI LEDA Agency Trilogy Awards. And throughout the time in which we've been awarding the FBI LEDA Trilogy Award, or Agency Trilogy Award, only 229 police departments have received it. Now, there are about 8,000 police departments across the country, about 1 million plus public safety professionals. So to achieve this, that means the chief, the mayor, the city manager, the council members. Of course, we know someone has to fund this training, right? So that support network is what makes this possible. And as the chief has indicated, those individuals have to take 3 of our flagship courses, which one is the Supervisor Leadership Institute, the Command Leadership Institute, as well as the Executive Leadership Institute. And that takes a level of commitment. A level of commitment to make an effort to not only get it right, but to hopefully positively impact the culture within your agency. And what we try to do around the world is impact the culture positively within the law enforcement community across the country and around the world as well. So without further ado, it is quite the honor to present to Chief Hardin, as well as her amazing team, the FBI LEDA Trilogy Award. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. What I'd like to also do, if I could, I'd like to provide some of our challenge coins to your amazing team here. So I'll start with Mr. Mayor. This is one of our challenge coins. And thank you for supporting your team. Ms. Smith, one of our challenge coins as well. Very nice to meet you. Mr. Connor. Very nice to meet you, sir. Congratulations. And I think someone's virtual, right?
Yes,
So
Dr. McGee.
I'll leave one, but let me make sure I have enough first.
Thank you, sir.
You're quite welcome. There you go.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
Councilor Van Dremmelin is not here.
The city manager. Thank you. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now,
So we take
I
those
will
with
do that one. Okay, done deal.
Except his job. Thank you.
He said his real job. All right. Now, since I have extra ones, I'll make sure the city attorney, that's a very important position. Trust me, trust me.
He knows.
Awesome. So congratulations to your city, Mr. Mayor, and congratulations to you, Chief. Job well done.
Next on tonight's agenda is a legislative public hearing regarding amendments to the Albany Comprehensive and Albany Zoning Map and the Albany Development Code as specified in Planning File CP-02-25, ZC or ZC 02-25, and DC 103-25. The applicant is the City of Albany Community Development Commission Department. I call now the public hearing at 6:16. If you wish to testify, there was three options available, which are described in the council agenda and in notice materials. At this time, I will call for a reading of the meeting procedures by Comprehensive Planning Manager Ann Catlin.
Thank you. For those wishing to testify, please be aware that you must raise an issue with enough detail to afford the council and parties an opportunity to respond to the issue if you later want to raise that issue on appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals. Testimony and evidence must be directed towards the approval standards and review criteria in the Comprehensive Plan and Development Code, which you believe apply to the decision. If additional documents or evidence are provided by any party, the City Council may allow a continuance or leave the record open to allow the parties a reasonable opportunity to respond.
Thank you. At this time, I'll call on staff report by Project Planner Ann Catlin.
Thank you, Mayor and councilors. So tonight we have a package of miscellaneous amendments. Most of them are related to the work we've been doing to comply with the state's climate-friendly and equitable community rules. And I just wanted to, for the audience benefit, highlight some of the steps that we've already taken to comply with those rules. We have adopted parking reform. We identified candidate climate-friendly areas, evaluated those, and then recently adopted 6 different climate-friendly areas, and I'll show you a map on the next slide, back in April, which went into effect in May. And you may remember at the hearing in April, there were some concerns about a portion of the downtown climate-friendly area boundary. So we are here tonight to make a minor adjustment to that boundary. And then we are also adding a few more things to our to-do list and adopting a few more standards related to creating walkable communities, and in particular, maximum block length standards. So it may be hard to see, but we did adopt these overlay districts, which did not change the zoning, base zoning underneath, and 6 of them around the city that are near transit that we that currently allow or mixed of uses, and we hope will eventually contain mixed uses. So it may be hard to see, but the tiny little area under the purple crosshatch, it's a half block. We're proposing to remove a portion of another property out of the climate-friendly overlay district in the downtown. And one of the reasons for that is that a portion of most of these properties are in the Monteith Historic District, which is a single dwelling unit historic district. I mentioned there are a few other minor associated amendments that we need to make related to the climate-friendly area rules. So we will be making some modifications that reflect the map change. We also noticed some obstacles to some development within climate-friendly areas. We're reducing an additional setback along our major and busier roads and trying to allow for compact development in climate-friendly areas and mixed-use areas. And then I already mentioned we have to adopt a maximum block length, so we're doing that. And we're also adding a pedestrian perimeter standards, having a maximum to encourage walkability. And then a few other miscellaneous amendments. We are adding a review criteria that development must be compatible with the comprehensive plan. And then we are clarifying some existing standards related to multi-dwelling unit development. So the staff report findings go over the different city goals and policies as well as the statewide planning goals, and they're on the screen here, but staff's findings conclude that we comply with these goals and policies in the comprehensive plan. So this started with a conversation you had with the Landmarks Commission back in June, and then we decided to add these additional items to the minor map adjustment for that downtown climate-friendly area. We did follow all of our notice requirements, and we have received some public comments which were forwarded to you, and I believe we have some people that are want to testify this evening. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Council, any questions? Councilor McGee, do you have anything?
No, I don't. Thank you.
We will now be taking public comment, public testimony. If anyone wishes to enter an exhibit into the record as part of your testimony, please briefly describe it and then present it to the city recorder. Have I done that yet? Okay. I will call on those who registered to speak first, then those who did not register. And I need a sheet. First up is Matilda Novak. You have a 3-minute time limit. Good to see you again.
Going to read a bit from a letter that was presented and provided by the North Albany Neighborhood Association. The plan to build out the CFA on Hickory Street to its potential maximum of 2,500 housing units raises significant concerns for those living in North Albany. Currently, North Albany has a population of approximately 1,100. With an average of 2.5 people per housing unit, this development could increase the population by over 50%. Such an increase is being considered without a plan to address the existing transportation problems in the area. The voices of residents who will be directly affected by increased building and density are not being adequately recognized. It seems the emphasis for the city is to facilitate more development without an active focus to make those impacts from increased density manageable for current residents. While it is commendable that the city aims to support those seeking affordable housing and the builders constructing these homes, this often results in additional burdens for those who already reside in North Albany. Residents have repeatedly requested the city address their needs, but development continues even as it exacerbates traffic congestion and public safety impacts. The September 2025 staff report acknowledges that all land use decisions in the comprehensive plan must consider both short and long-term impacts and emphasizes the need for an efficient and safe transportation system. Transportation facilities, whether existing or anticipated, must be adequate for the uses permitted under the proposed zone designation. Where does the current proposal address the short and long-term impacts to residents of North Albany? And how does the council believe the current transportation system is sufficient to support an additional 50% increase of population? The next transportation system plan is not yet available in draft form, and we have already been informed that a new bridge is not expected anytime soon. Last year, the city permitted dense townhouse construction in the Gibson Hill development, but subsequently removed the only bus service within a mile of that area. This creates serious doubt among citizens about whether the city will address critical traffic issues before permitting the development of over 2,000 new housing units. Since annexation in 1991, the population has grown from less than 3,900 to over 1,100 in 2023. Aside from Benton County widening Gibson Hill Road, adding some bike paths and a roundabout, no road infrastructure has been done since then. Since 2010, 894 houses have been built. 59 houses were built in 2022 alone. The very next year, traffic accidents increased 40%. There is no doubt traffic is an issue and a concern the council must take into consideration when approving plans and amendments. The current proposal is likely to increase traffic and decrease public safety in North Albany. Adding more housing units without addressing infrastructure concerns
Thank you,
will
Council.
intensify
Thank you.
existing issues.
Thank you, Ms. Novak.
We respect that the
Thank you,
implementation
Ms.
of the
Novak. Your time
CFA
is-
be
Your
deferred.
time has expired, Ms. Novak.
Thank you. This is about public safety, public trust, and livability.
Next is Audrey Eldridge.
My name is Audrey Eldridge. I am North Albany Neighborhood Association Secretary. And I'd like to reiterate Matilda Novak's comments that was contained in a letter I think that you all did receive. The letter went through a few iterations. It started with a letter from me, but then the community decided that they wanted to be recognized. This letter was signed by over 64 North Albany residents regarding the proposed comprehensive plan and zoning map amendments. The signatures were gathered within a 48-hour window, showing that there is really strong community interest in this issue. I am particularly focusing on the climate-friendly area on Hickory Street, and we were asking the council to delay approving these amendments or any development until the citizens' concerns are adequately addressed. The proposal to develop the CFA on Hickory Street to a maximum of 2,500 housing units could increase the population of North Albany by 50%. This development, along with many others permitted or anticipated in North Albany, is not currently accommodated by a corresponding plan to address the existing and future transportation issues of the area. I believe if water or sewer infrastructures were inadequate to host such a development, that the city would be required to address that lack of adequate capacity before allowing the building to commence. Transportation infrastructure should be no different. For the reasons outlined in the NANA letter presented by Matilda, we respectfully request that implementation of any development planned in the CFA area for North Albany until the new transportation system plan is fully developed and implemented, thus enabling more effective management of traffic impacts now and in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all that signed up to speak. I will now call on those that are not registered to speak first, followed by those who did not register. Anyone in chambers did not register to speak would like to speak? Thank you. Does any member of the audience wish to speak about the proposed amendments? Sooner or twice. Please raise your hand and you'll be attending in person or virtually called upon. If you are attending via the phone, please unmute yourself and state your name and so you can be called upon. Please provide your name and address or state whether or not you live with address and use a sign-in sheet in person or emailed it to you. Does a staff member wish to respond to the testimony presented? Coming. This is redundant.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to clarify that we have heard the concerns of our North Albany residents. Again, there are no changes proposed in North Albany at this time, but I did want to note that the figures that we are proposing to build out the North Albany climate-friendly area with 2,500 units is actually not correct. The study that we had to do required us to project out the total build-out capacity, assuming all existing development would be wiped out and everything would be built to the maximum building heights, and using formulas. I can't imagine that that would ever happen, but I just wanted you to know that's where that 2,500 number comes in. So we aren't developers, but the capacity, if everything was vacant and everything was built to the maximum heights in the zone, that's possibly what could occur. But much of the area is already developed. So I just wanted to clarify that. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Councilors, any
Yeah,
questions?
I have a
Councilor
Thank you
Thompson?
for clarifying that, and, you know, the state was asking, I mean, this is so theoretical on one hand. And I was against it, and I voted against it in the past, because, like I said then, it's an Albany I wouldn't recognize, that kind of development. And it's on the far edge, but there's no plans on the horizon. No one is, those numbers are there, but no one is coming in behind this change to do all that. In fact, I believe the company that owns the former garden spot there is still looking for a business of some type. I know someone else owns a kind of the strip mall there, and she's not selling her property. So this idea that, and I understand where it comes from. Usually, very often, a code change is precursor to development that's coming in behind it, and that's just not it. That's not what this was about. But it was about the state imposing, in a theoretical way, in a big picture way, I believe, kind of Portland metro area type regulations. And so my question is, that's a lot of talk, but my question is, so Site C in North Albany, could we even like eliminate that from this package and still suffice to what the state wants?
So you couldn't do that today. You could direct staff to evaluate that. We'd have to go through the whole public input process, notify all the property owners, and, hold new public hearings. I do believe that we would still meet our minimum residential capacity requirements without that site included. But it's up to you. You can direct us to look into that, and if there's a majority of the council that would like us to do that. I will note that we do hope the transportation systems plan will be underway soon, maybe in the next couple months, and we hope to get a grant to work on a new comprehensive plan starting in January. That's the time to really evaluate a lot of these long-term growth issues. And so I just wanted to let you know of those two projects that are coming up. And another opportunity to evaluate zoning and overlays as well.
Thank you. Councilor McGee, do you have anything?
I don't.
Councilor Thompson, excuse me, Councilor Newton, and I'll come to you next.
Could we meet the population guidelines if we remove North Albany and downtown?
I don't remember. I don't have those numbers. I don't think so.
I think the answer was yes last time we asked.
To remove one, I think, but I'm not sure.
No, it was for both.
Was it for both? Okay, well, again, I don't have the figures in front of me. We do have to demonstrate enough land to accommodate, I think it was about 8,300 units, assuming everything was, torched and we rebuilt. But, I mean, it's an overlay district. We have to report to the state how many dwelling units are built in these areas, and before we can have any annexations, they're going to require us to create more climate-friendly areas. So, I mean, we're trying to ensure that areas that are walkable near transit are included and that we're capturing existing units and any future growth in these areas. It doesn't mean that we're promoting more growth or that more growth is going to happen. But yes, you can certainly direct staff to look at both of those areas, and we can start that public engagement process again. But, we have a lot of things on our plate, and we will be doing the comprehensive planning process update, we hope. And I think that would be a great time to talk about a variety of issues and concerns and hear from the whole community.
Counselor Smith?
I don't know why we would remove those areas. Nothing is going to change until we get a proposal for some development. It's not going to happen right away. Certainly not going to happen before we start work on the transportation system plan. I think people have allowed themselves to be frightened by numbers that apply citywide rather than in one spot. And I regret that. I regret the misunderstanding, but I would oppose with my one vote any move to remove those two areas from the overall plan, which applies to the entire city of Albany, border to border.
Thank you. Counselor McLeod?
Thank you. Thank you, sir. I would like to say thank you for responding to my email today on such short notice. Thank you for that. I just wanted to ask a clarifying question, and you answered that in the email. And I just wanted to put this out there. This public hearing that we're having today is essentially about the downtown climate-friendly area, and is really not so much about the North Albany climate-friendly area. Is that an accurate assessment?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. If there's no more questions, I will declare the public hearing closed at 6:36 p.m. Council, would you wish to discuss these amendments?
Yeah, I had no problem. I think it was a good little adjustment on the I don't know what number or what letter it was, but the downtown area. I'm totally in favor of that.
Thank you, Counselor.
Yeah.
So, there is an ordinance in your consideration on page 5 of your council agenda packet.
I will move to adopt the ordinance amending the City of Albany Comprehensive Plan, which was adopted by ordinance number 4386.
I have some steps to take before we do that.
Okay.
Sorry about that. There is a recommended motion for your consideration provided on the dais. Will the city attorney please read the ordinance in the first time in title only?
An ordinance amending the City of Albany Comprehensive Plan, which was adopted by ordinance number 4836 and the City of Albany zoning map and Albany Development Code, which were adopted by ordinance number 4441 and adopting findings.
Would the council like to make a motion to read the ordinance for a second time in title only?
I move to read the ordinance a second time in title only.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Would all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
No, those opposed say no. Thank you. So, City Attorney, would you read the second time in title only?
An ordinance amending the City of Albany Comprehensive Plan, which was adopted by ordinance number 4836 and the City of Albany zoning map and Albany Development Code, which were adopted by ordinance number 4441 and adopting findings.
Will the council like to make a motion to adopt the ordinance?
I'll move to adopt the ordinance.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Thank you. A legislative decision of the city, oh, I need to read it again, right? We already read it twice. A legislative decision of the city council may be appealed to the Land Use Board of Appeals by filing a notice of intent to appeal no later than 21 days after this decision has been made, becomes final. Within 5 working days of following the adoption of the amendment or new land use regulation, the director shall forward to the Department of Land Conservation and Development a copy of the adopted ordinance. That's it.
I'd like to explore later on, talking about what Councilor Thompson and I talked about earlier. So maybe at a later date, we can maybe talk about that.
Okay. But this ordinance has been adopted.
Yeah, I'm totally happy about those changes for the parameters, especially for the historic downtown district. So grateful for those changes.
Something I think, I'll bring it up from the business from the council, maybe some more community outreach type stuff.
Yes.
To educate folks.
I think that is fantastic.
Yeah,
I would also like to see that conversation continue.
yep. Thank you. Thank you, council. Number 5 on your agenda is public comment. Public comment is the time for Albany residents to speak and for the council to listen. The council won't discuss topics or make decisions during public comment, but will take comments and requests under advisement. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes and must follow the council's rules and observe the same standards of decorum. If unable to do so, they will be asked to step down and take a seat in the audience for the remainder of the meeting. When you get to the microphone, please give your name and state whether or not you live in the city of Albany. Anybody sign up? No, come. Michael Harrison.
Thank you, council. My name is Mike Harrison, and I live in Albany. In fact, I was born in Albany, and we have 6 children and 8 grandchildren that we're very happy to have visit Albany. We're very proud of the town. I'd like to begin by commending the busy mayor, the city council, and the city staff for all the improvements in town. And we appreciate Councilor Smith for boots on the ground assessment of our neighborhood and the traffic corner, the 2 small items I'm going to mention this evening. One project that you know well that's come to our neighborhood this year, it involves scores, if not hundreds, of men and women passing through the neighborhood in heavy equipment and all the support vehicles, is the Cox Creek Interceptor project. I would like to commend the contractors that were selected, and especially just take 1 second to recommend the great work that Chris Suit's done. He's popped tall on deck every morning at 6:30. He walks the street, interviews the neighbors, predicts what's going to happen this week. Sometimes it comes true. And they have been very helpful to the older folks on our street, those people. But the disruption has been pretty severe, but it does come with some benefits. The streets are as smooth as glass. The speed bumps are high and mighty. And thanks to the city staff, a dangerous speed curve was removed from Bain Street during the excavation project. And a more traditional T-shaped 3-way stop intersection was put in, except we don't have the stop signs. And that's what I'm here about. The intersection now needs 2 more stop signs to protect the pedestrians, including the kids from South Shore Elementary School that use North Shore and Bain. And finally, removing the curve resulted in the street curb being moved, and a narrow strip of dirt is there now. And for better property symmetry in the future, I also request that the city council respectfully consider realigning our property line, which adjoins that curve, parallel with the new curve. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very
Council.
much. Next is Audrey Eldridge. Thank you, Ms. Eldridge.
Hello again. My name is Audrey Eldridge, and I still live in Albany. And I'm thanking you for this time. I have 4 subjects I'd like to hopefully briefly bring to your attention and try and squeeze it all into this time. First, many North Albany residents have lacked bus service for over a year, and the existing stop near IGA is inaccessible for most. Some, like the one college student present here, must walk 1.5 miles to reach a bus stop. As development continues in North Albany, the city should reinstate bus service to help reduce traffic from single passenger trips. Second, NANA, North Albany Neighborhood Association, which I am the secretary of, we're considering conducting a survey about the services that are valued and supported by the North Albany community, and is open to partnering with the city if there is interest. This survey could provide useful information for both the city and the council, and as well for NANA. NANA requests to discuss this with the appropriate staff or department if they see fit. Third, During the process of collecting signatures for the public hearing comment letter, some citizens expressed interest in new amenities for the areas. Suggestions include a mini library to minimize those bridge crossings, more natural areas for walking and biking, and the possibility of installing native plant demonstration gardens. I like that one. Last, the city would soon receive a letter from NANA requesting the installation of a crosswalk and crossing lights at the intersection of Gibson Hill Road and Laura Vista Drive. We know where the new townhouses are being constructed as we speak. This request will be shared at a later date. It is my understanding that these safety installations will be funded by Albany citizens instead of the developers. Previously, when the roads for development on Northwest 23rd were completed and there were no safety features installed, such as stop signs, within 2 weeks there was an accident. The city took additional measures to improve safety at that intersection. This raises the question as to why requiring these safety improvements are not mandated when developments are approved, and whether these costs should be assigned to the developers instead of the people of Albany. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda tonight is action items. 6A is resolutions, exemption from competitive bidding to use a cooperative agreement to purchase pavement milling machine. Rob Romeo, pages 76 and through 78 in your packet.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and councilors. I'm here tonight to ask your approval of the purchase of a working 100 RI milling machine. As you know, the paving season in Oregon is limited to a few months. With such short paving season, this working milling machine will help us become more efficient and effective in our paving process. This milling machine will allow us to grind bad sections of street, removing spoils with a conveyor system rather than having to saw cut, excavate, and will save us a lot of time, valuable time. This machine is not the answer to every street issue that we have. It does help mitigate minor issues more effectively and resolve more problem areas over our summer months. With our utility patching obligations for other city departments, we'll be able to repair patches using preferred and permitted methods of T-cutting, making our repairs stronger and acceptable for surrounding agencies that we do work for. With our small crew size, anything to help us become more efficient will help pay for itself instantly and keep us more efficient. So I'm asking for approval of this purchase.
Council, any questions? Thank you. Do I have a motion?
I'd move to approve by resolution the exemption from competitive bidding for the purchase of a new pavement milling machine as described by Mr. Romeo.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 6 Bravo, adopt by motion, real property 205 Madison Northeast, Matthew Rutgers, Director Rutgers, 79 through 139 in your packet.
Good evening, Mayor and councilors. Just give me 1 second. I was going to pull up a slide here. Okay. So, bringing back to you an item, 205 Madison Street. So this is a property, just a quick background, if you should be familiar with this, but this is a property the city had acquired through a settlement with the railroad. It's about an acre in size. It is shown in the kind of highlighted blue on the screen. Back in 2022, we had an appraisal done. It appraised at $415,000. It's certainly higher now. The assessed value is about $231,000 and some change. The property itself is zoned suitable for mixed use and residential development. So on February 10th of 2025, I came to you and we discussed kind of what the council's desires were for this piece of property, at which time you had directed us to kind of go out into the community, which we held a community conversation down at the RCC on March 6th and had a pretty good turnout. Got a lot of feedback in that. A lot of the discussion was around potential uses for that. The general tone of that was the people that were at that meeting didn't really want to see any additional residential development out there. With that, we came back on March 26th to talk about what the council would like to do with the property. As we kind of talked through that, where we landed was to come back with basically go through an RFP process, or a request for proposal process. Excuse me. And in order to do that, we kind of developed some scope items that these are just draft scope items. If the council wanted to consider those scope items, and obviously those are weighted through a proposal or RFP process. And it just kind of demonstrates how you could go about going out with an RFP here and what you're looking at. The benefits of an RFP, and as we talked about in the March meeting, was the council gets to kind of dictate or at least prioritize the types of uses that you may want to see there. And so I've provided some kind of, again, those draft RFP items, as well as there's one other piece I wanted to add. As you see on your screens and was noted on attachment 4 in the packet, there's another little red, it's highlighted red on your map there. That's actually a piece of park property that the Parks Department owns. And they currently don't, obviously, it's not slated for building a park there, but they said, hey, if you're going through this RFP process, if you wanted to include that, as we heard in that community conversation, an interest in some additional public amenities, the thought there was maybe even a community garden could do there, an expansion on the existing one, as well as some parking that could help access or could be used for access to the Dave Clark Path. Now, the challenge that you have there is, if you decide to go forward with an RFP process, you're looking for development on those two parcels, and a development that's specific to the desires of the council or ideas that you may have. So understanding that by including an additional piece, or as we kind of dictate what development could look like, that certainly has the potential to impact the sales price, or the price that you would essentially sell the property for. Or it may be its assessed value or appraised value may be, we'll just say it's $500,000. If we're dictating that a development would be, just saying an example, not saying this is what you're going to go with, is a lower commercial floor with maybe some residential above, but a certain number of parking spaces that would be over and above, that would provide parking for the surrounding neighborhoods, as well as development of this parks piece, understanding that we would maintain ownership of it and maintenance of it, but they would do the initial kind of development. That would certainly affect that sales price. Somebody's not going to pay kind of top dollar for land that they're then kind of dictated what they have to do with it, or the type of development they have to do, as well as improvements on a kind of offsite piece. So that if council wants to include the parks piece, it's certainly there for the taking. If we want to throw it in there and see what happens, that's fine too. I'm really here to kind of get input on the RFP scoping items that I provided. If you'd like to see any changes there, as well as just reminding council that there is no urgency here. We don't have a developer. I mean, there's certainly people that are interested in the property, but this is 100% the council's decision. If you say, you know what, we're not interested in getting rid of the property at this time, you haven't declared it surplus yet. So you could take, and it's actually in the options, in the alternatives. If you determine you want to retain it, there's no further action required. If you say, we'd like to entertain RFPs, we could declare surplus. Well, you should, if you're going to go down that path, declare it surplus tonight. That can be done just through a motion, and then just direct staff to proceed with an RFP process. It's really entirely up to council what you'd like to do. I can't stress that enough. There is not a sense of urgency, and I'm not trying to talk you out of kind of disposing of it, just making sure that we're clear on that. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, or if there's suggestions to the scoping list or whatever.
Council?
Yeah, I have.
Councilor Thompson?
Yeah, no, I was at the meeting. There were 3 counselors and the mayor at that meeting in the spring, or first of the year. And I would characterize it as no residential and very focused on either parking or parks, some type of parks. And in your kind of draft RFP, my question that leaped out to me, it kind of centered around a mixed-use building with about 20 parking spaces. Now, in my head, a certain percentage of those would have to be allocated to the building that was built. So that would only be so many net new parking spaces. And so what I'm looking for that spot is more parking spaces for the neighborhood and businesses nearby, which is clearly what was said at that meeting. And that's what I got from that meeting.
Yeah, and we certainly, and again, this is kind of just
I understand.
my rough draft of this. The thing that we look at is if we're looking to move forward with an RFP here is, as you start to increase the number of parking spaces that are available for public use and decrease that buildable size, there comes a tipping point where there is no value for a developer. And where that sweet spot is, I'm not quite sure. If we want to kind of beef up that public parking piece in here, we certainly can. That's why we're here.
Okay.
If we want to push that number up, just let me know where you'd like to see it. This was just my first shot is
Sure.
we want at least 20 minimum publicly available parking stalls. If we want to say that number is 40, we can do that. Just understanding that does start to kind of shrink down that buildable pad for what would be their development, which obviously impacts the interest that could be had as well as the price that they'd be willing to pay for it. So
Understood.
So, are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, when was the last time we actually talked to the public about this?
it was in March.
In March. I think a long time has lapsed. We might want to do a community conversation again to refresh everybody and get their input now, because things have changed since then. That's my personal feelings on it. Councilor McLeod?
Thank you. I was also at that community conversation in March, and I agree with the mayor that it has been quite a while, and I would like to see another community conversation around this piece of property. And I also agree with Councilor Thompson in that we may want to provide more parking for the community in this area. But it's also my view that we may just want to hold on to it and think about it a little bit longer, be a little more conservative with what we're doing here. And that would go along with what the mayor said about continuing the conversation, just kind of putting it on a little bit on hold for now. So, thank you.
Any other councils have anything?
I heard from a lot of folks that they were really hesitant for us to declare this surplus. I agree we should have more public input. I'm also wondering if we need a fuller understanding of its potential public value before taking the steps to remove it from the city's inventory. It's really well located. It could be used for future public works needs, emergency management. It could become community space, not just always a park. It could be part of future housing partnerships. I'm curious, and this is maybe I'm not. I just want to make sure that we're considering whenever we're going to declare something surplus, if we're also including as part of that discussion, a public benefit evaluation. Can it advance housing? Is it green space? Is it going to advance jobs? What have you? I'm wondering if that could also be part of this process, but also future processes when we look at declaring public property surplus.
Yeah, and just to respond to your question a little bit back, I'd have to go and look at the date. We did actually, council adopted a surplus property policy.
Okay.
It was earlier this year.
Our best use, I remember that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that specifically speaks to when there's an interest to potentially declare a property surplus, there's some kind of steps that we go through, evaluating if, is there a higher priority use for the property? Once it's declared surplus, and then it actually goes towards housing, and specifically affordable housing gets offered up first. If it was determined there wasn't a higher priority, obviously when you talk about high priorities, that does include monetary pieces, like if the city were looking to profit from the sale of it. These are all options that are available. And as we look at, happy to have another community conversation out there. Understand, certainly based on the first one that we had, we're certainly going to hear, I would anticipate to hear a lot of the same, like we'd like to see, a park or more parking, things like that. There may be a determination that's made that, look, you're going out through an RFP is probably not the best idea here because you are not going to get a developer to come in to build basically all public facilities. So then it's really, I think it's great to have the conversation, just preparing ourselves for, it may result in, we're not going to move forward with an RFP, we're just hold the property until such time as we decide there's something the city wants to do with it, so.
And I want to be clear, I've heard from many of my constituents, and I'm in no rush to declare this property surplus.
Yep.
It's personally from what I've heard from my constituents.
I think we would hear the same comments that we heard in March. The people we heard from, the people who attended the meeting, were people who live in the area and people who work in the area. And they know how that property affects how they live and how they work now, and have good ideas for options for it. I don't know why we would hang on to it. It's been sitting there for a long time with development all the way around it. I don't know how, I'm not an expert in how much you need to talk about something and then talk about it again and then talk about it again before you make a decision. And whatever the decision is, I'm going to repeat it, something that I said when we were talking about 9th and Jackson. We don't need to latch on to the appraisal amount as the tablets from Mount Ararat. That's one person's opinion about what a piece of property is worth. What a piece of property is worth is what someone's willing to pay for it. So I'm fine with declaring it surplus. As I've pointed out before, I am one vote. So you asked my opinion and I'm giving it. Thank you.
And I would just like to hear, we have spent 9 months or 8 months since that conversation. I think one more conversation wouldn't hurt anything. I don't want analysis paralysis, but I would like to discuss it freshly, new, and then maybe bring it back to us.
Okay, I'll work with our staff and we'll.
You okay with that?
If the council's okay. The last one, we stood up pretty quickly. From the February meeting, we had a March community conversation. And that was, kind of the direction that we had was let's get something together. This one, we might do a little bit more outreach, maybe centrally, just getting some ideas from council on this, maybe centrally locate the conversation. So we might draw in more people from around the city. Obviously, we value the people's opinions that live right there, but also it is city property that includes everybody. So it's just your thoughts on something like that.
Thank you. I do like the idea of centrally located, but we definitely need to include those folks in that community.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Director. Next on tonight's agenda is business from the council. Councilor Thompson, you're up.
I don't have anything.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Newton.
Yeah, this is a really random question that a constituent brought up, and let me just look at my Google Maps. They were wondering about the colors of the streetlights over on 13th Avenue Southwest and what is that? Hop Street, that new development over in like that, but they're blue. And I was wondering if staff knew why. It looks a little eerie, like very Halloween town, but if anyone's been over there,
I had to check that out.
it's the city lights, you know, but they're, yes, the street lights, that's the correct terminology. But yeah, they're bright blue and it's kind of weird. And so I had a constituent reach out and they said, well, why are they blue? It's
Road trip.
creepy looking. So we'll find out. All right.
That it, Counselor?
That's it.
Okay, next up is Counselor McLeod.
Thank you, sir. A few things. I attended 2 conferences in the last week, the League of Oregon Cities 100th Annual Conference in Portland, as well as the Oregon Main Street Conference here in Albany that began today. It is ongoing through Friday. I wanted to congratulate the 4 individuals or businesses from Albany that received awards today. Wow, way to go, Albany. Good job. Thank you for that. I also spoke with the students of the Albany Civic Academy yesterday on leadership in our community, and I wanted to thank you for inviting me to speak and to listening to my perspective on leadership in our community. I also received a continued constituent contact regarding lowering the posted speed limit on Ferry Street. Just this afternoon, I received a response from city staff that we had performed a study on this. And based on those results, ODOT is not likely to revise the existing speed zone order. However, it is possible that the north end of Ferry Street, which is predominantly residential development, could be designated as a residence district and then posted at 25 miles per hour. So I wanted to put that information out about the posted speed limit on Ferry Street. In response to Ms. Eldridge's comments about expanding bus service in North Albany, I wanted to thank you for your input and insights on bus service in North Albany. As a young person, 20 plus years ago, I took the bus everywhere, and I took it at all hours of the day and night. I think we do need to expand service beyond 6:27 a.m. and 6:27 p.m. I know that I took the bus beyond 6:27 p.m. several times as a young person. And I also do agree that we need to expand the service throughout North Albany. So I wanted to thank you for those comments. And I hope that we are able to do that. So thank you. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Counselor. Dr. McGee?
I just received an email from a constituent complaining about the bike lanes, stating that, oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't an email, they told me in passing, about the bike lanes. They said on Pacific specifically, but they didn't say where on Pacific, that it's crowded with sort of some trash and leaves. That's all I have.
Thank you. Counselor Smith?
Two things. I had the opportunity to talk to the Civics Academy students as they were leaving on their bus tour of Public Works and Police and Fire and Library a couple of weeks ago. One of the students, or attendees, I'm not sure how to refer to them, they're adults, asked me what I was most proud of in the years that I've been on the council so far. And that was an easy question to answer. I'm most proud of, speaking of speed limits, lowering the speed limit on Waverly Drive from Santiam Highway to Oak Street, or Oak Creek. That has resulted in, it was only 5 miles an hour, but it makes a difference. And that resulted in the Mennonite Village getting a grant from AARP, was it? To put in radar signs on either end of the section that goes by the Mennonite Village to remind people going north and south that it's 35, because that's the spot where people speed up or forget to slow down. There's a sign in front of the village itself, and then there's another one on the corner of Del Rio and Waverly near the hospice house. And as of yesterday, the lights are on. They say your speed is. They're not taking numbers and calling out names or sending tickets. They're just letting people know when we say it's 35, we mean it's 35. And I'm very happy to see that and proud of the small part that I played in that. I also attended the League of Oregon Cities Conference and was proud of the small role that I played in helping get 3 of Oregon's most outstanding public leaders, women leaders, to give the plenary session on Saturday. Former Governor Barbara Roberts, Betsy Johnson, state senator, and our current state treasurer, Elizabeth Steiner. It was a terrific session, funny, informative. It made you really proud to be an Oregonian, and I'm well attended because it was breakfast time. But it was a great way to cap out a very, very busy weekend. So thank you to my fellow Women Caucus members for setting that up. Thank you for everybody from the Mid-Valley who attended. I made 2 friends on the Corvallis City Council, people I had never met before, and I made a new friend on the Portland City Council, one of their very newest councilors. There's nothing like networking to remind you of how small Oregon is. So thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. I also attended it. I had a great time, networked with a lot of mayors and city councilors and city managers. One of the city managers actually asked me for a copy of our council manual because Kathleen Cart from Kaiser, Mayor Cart, had told her that Albany has an awesome council manual. So I shared it with several people up there. We had a lot of questions about our composting, which I thought was great. The mayor's asking about that. But it was just a great conference when I could not wait to get home. So October 15th is my 31st anniversary of moving to Albany, Oregon. And can't believe I've been in one place that long. And then we celebrated our 40th wedding anniversary on Sunday, October 5th. So it's been a good month. And then what else do I want to talk about here? Oh, I am a member of the Long Range Facilities Advisory Committee for the school system. We had a first meeting the other night, and I got an education on bonds that I have never had before. It was like I was in class and I was writing notes and asking questions. I think I've asked the city manager to consider bringing her in to speak to us about bonds. I think it'll clear up a lot of misunderstanding for the community and also for us. And I think that's it for me. I'll now turn it over to the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I have only 2 things for you. Thankfully, the accident that happened on Lyons over the weekend at 3rd didn't result in any major injuries. There was quite a bit of damage, though. As you see, the street light, several of our street lamps, and then, of course, some trees. We, in talking with ODOT, had expected that it was going to take a while and that ODOT would have to develop a plan for a temporary signal at Lyons and 3rd. But they were able to find the parts they needed. They characterized it as finding a needle in a haystack. And they've installed it as of 9:30 this morning, which is pretty quick. They remind us that the communications equipment still need to be installed, however, that allow the equipment to talk to the other equipment and keep things moving efficiently up the street. So it's still a temporary fix, and they'll be installing that communications equipment later. The other thing is to remind you that Friday is our strategic planning workshop, and that is from 8 in the morning till 3:30 in the afternoon, or earlier if we can move quickly. But it's the whole day, and I thank you in advance for your participation in that workshop. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
So do we have to bring our own food, or?
No, we'll have food for you. Oh, yes.
The Ethics Commission, that thing with them, so.
I want to mention, I sent an email to the mayor and to the city manager. I have a specialist doctor's appointment that I've had for several months, and I cannot reschedule it. So I will be gone for a short amount of time during that strategic planning session because I don't want to push out my appointment like 6 months. So just heads up.
Thank you. So with that, our next meeting is Friday, October 10th at 8 a.m., possibly till 3:30 for strategic planning session retreat. Monday, October 20th, 2025 at 4 p.m. for a work session. Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025 at 6 p.m. for a meeting. And I will now adjourn the meeting.